Good morning, dear students of class 12. Welcome to the English online learning class. Today, we are going to further continue with the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers by Edwin Rich. Before we take up the third stanza, which is the last stanza of the poem, let's have a quick recap of the first two stanzas. This poem, Aunt Jennifer's Tigers, portrays an image of a wife dismayed with her married life. Aunt Jennifer is an abused wife, unable to escape her husband's brutality. The poem focuses on Aunt Jennifer's dreams and the harsh world she calls her reality. In stanza 1, we discussed on what the tigers, Aunt Jennifer's tigers, represent. Rich begins her poem with a beautiful picture setting the scene for the dream world of Aunt Jennifer. We see that Aunt Jennifer has ownership over the tigers in some way. They are free to prance, run across a screen. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen. They are bright like topaz and they inhabit a world that is green. Bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They are not scared of the hunters who are ready to shoot them down with their guns. They pace in sleek, chivalric certainty. They conduct themselves in a heroic, manly fashion. The tigers that Aunt Jennifer owns are confident, certain of who they are and what they want. The word certainty reflects this. If the first stanza describes Aunt Jennifer's tigers, the second stanza explains who Aunt Jennifer is. Aunt Jennifer is described to be working with a piece of wool, fingers fluttering through her wool. She is doing needlepoint to a panel that will be placed in a pillow, perhaps quilt or a screen of some kind for the home. Her fingers are fluttering to create the beautiful image of the tigers. She is expressing herself through the creation of her tigers. Probably she wants herself to be confident and fearless. But fluttering, finding even the ivory needle hard to pull, shows not only her physical state but her mental trauma. Now, if you look at the last two lines of the second stanza, however, she is finding difficult to create those tigers and express those feelings. Those feelings are repressed by the weight of marriage, gender roles, and a dominating society. Uncle's wedding band represents a patriarchal society in which she lives. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. This weight is not something she enjoys, as the wedding band is described to sit heavily on her hand and keeps her from her only sense of expression she has, her needle point, her embroidery. The tigers that she is making on the panel. Now let us look at the last, final, third stanza. I'll read it out for you. When Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. The last stanza of the poem gives us a surprisingly truthful look at the reality and the end of Aunt Jennifer and women in her position all over the world. Aunt Jennifer never does win. Even in death, she must conform to the patriarchal society in which she lives. The ring around her finger symbolizes the weight she must bear, dead or alive, that created and controlled her. Just as she created and controlled her new needlework, society and gender roles have created and controlled her. When Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. So even death will not be an escape for Aunt. The brutalities that she suffered will remain with her even after her death. Now, if you look at the last two lines, the tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. In the last two lines, Rich is simply stating that Aunt Jennifer was too late. She tried to express herself and to overcome the oppression that she probably could not even explain, but only knew how to do it through masculine images. That is the tigers. Probably the urge to rebel and raise her voice the longing to free herself was there, but she resorted to her embroidery and created the masculine images of tigers, which was an outlet to express what she wanted in her life. She wanted to be probably fearless, confident, like the tigers, and which she could not. Those images were all she had ever known. Aunt Jennifer never got to see women standing strong and proud because they were simply women. She missed out on watching women become astronauts, businesswomen, artists, and policemen. Probably she missed out on all this. The reason her tigers went on prancing proud and unafraid was because the tigers represented all things masculine and therefore had nothing to fear. So, if you look at the last stanza, the poem gives us a surprisingly truthful look at the reality and the end of Aunt Jennifer's tiger, Aunt Jennifer, and women in her position all over the world. Aunt Jennifer never does win. When Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie still ringed with ordeal she was mastered by. Even death she must conform to the patriarchal society in which she lives. She will not be free. The ring around her finger symbolizes the weight she must bear, dead or alive. Just as she created and controlled her needlework, society and gender roles created and controlled her. In the last two lines, Rich is simply stating that Aunt Jennifer was too late. She tried to express herself and to overcome the oppression that she probably could not even explain, but she only knew how to do it through masculine images of tigers, fearless tigers. Those images were all she had ever known, but she could not muster up courage to raise her voice against her oppression. Aunt Jennifer never got to see probably women standing strong and proud, which you see today, because they were simply women. She missed out on watching women becoming astronauts, businesswomen, artists, policemen. You see today, women with education, awareness, women empowerment, today women have carved out a place for themselves. The reason her tigers went on prancing proud and unafraid was because the tigers represented all things masculine and therefore had nothing to fear. So we worked on this poem today. Now you will look at the poem again and come up with your problems, and we'll discuss it in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day. Take care.